The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home, the wipers struggling to keep up. Manchester looked like a watercolor painting gone wrong, all blurred edges and muted colors. I was late again. A client emergency had kept me chained to my desk at the IT firm, wrestling with a server that seemed determined to self-destruct. I glanced at the clock on the dashboard, 7:48 p.m. Elara would be furious. Elara, my wife of 15 years. 15 years of what I thought was unwavering love, mutual respect, and a shared life. Now the thought of her name sent a shiver of dread down my spine, a cold premonition that something was terribly wrong. It had started subtly, almost imperceptibly. A change in her scent, a new perfume I didn't recognize. Late nights at the office, which she attributed to a demanding new boss at the marketing agency where she worked. A distance in her eyes when she looked at me, as if she were seeing a stranger. I chalked it up to stress, the pressures of modern life. I was an idiot. I pulled into the driveway of our semi-detached house in Didsbury, the familiar red brick seeming alien under the gloomy sky. The living room light was on, casting a warm glow through the net curtains. A pang of guilt hit me. I should have called, let her know I was running late. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside, the scent of lavender and something else, something unfamiliar, filling my nostrils. Elara. I called out, my voice echoing in the hallway. I'm home. Silence. I shrugged off my coat and hung it on the rack, a knot of unease tightening in my stomach. Maybe she was upstairs, already in bed. I padded softly towards the living room, intending to apologize for my lateness and suggest we order a takeaway. And then I saw them. The scene is forever etched into my memory, a grotesque tableau of betrayal that replays in my mind every time I close my eyes. Elara, my Elara, entwined in the arms of another man on our sofa, their clothes scattered on the floor, the air thick with lust and deceit. The man. I recognized him instantly. Kieran, our neighbor from across the street. A smarmy, self-satisfied estate agent with a penchant for fast cars and a reputation for being a womanizer. He had always been overly familiar with Elara, his eyes lingering on her a beat too long whenever we crossed paths. I had dismissed it as harmless flirting, a symptom of his insufferable ego. I was wrong again. Time seemed to slow to a crawl. The blood drained from my face, leaving me feeling lightheaded and nauseous. My chest constricted, making it difficult to breathe. A primal scream clawed its way up my throat, but all that escaped was a strangled gasp. They hadn't heard me. They were too engrossed in their sordid little world to notice the sound of my arrival. I stood there frozen, a silent observer to the destruction of my life, my marriage, my dreams. Finally, Elara shifted, her eyes fluttering open. She saw me. The look on her face was not one of guilt or remorse, but of annoyance, as if I had interrupted something important. "Brennan," she said, her voice flat and devoid of emotion. "What are you doing here?" The audacity of her question snapped me out of my stupor. Rage, hot and blinding, surged through me, eclipsing the shock and the hurt. I took a step forward, my fists clenched, my body trembling with fury. Kieran, startled by Elara's reaction, scrambled to cover himself with a cushion, his face a mask of panic. "Look, mate, it's not what you think," he stammered, his voice high-pitched and unconvincing. "Not what I think," I roared, my voice shaking the room. "I'm standing here, watching my wife in bed with my neighbor." "What else am I supposed to think?" Elara rose from the sofa, pulling a silk dressing gown around her, her eyes blazing with defiance. "Don't you dare shout at me, Brennan," she snapped. "This is your fault. You're always working, always putting your job before me. You've neglected me for years." Her words were like a knife twisting in my gut. Neglect. I had worked tirelessly to provide for her, to give her everything she wanted. I had sacrificed my own ambitions and dreams to ensure her happiness. And this was how she repaid me. "So you decided to cheat on me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "That's your solution to feeling neglected? I needed to feel wanted," she retorted, her voice rising again. "Kieran makes me feel alive, something you haven't done in years." I looked at Kieran, cowering behind the cushion, his eyes darting back and forth between Elara and me. He was a pathetic excuse for a man, a weak and opportunistic predator who had preyed on my wife's vulnerability. "Get out," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "Get out of my house, both of you." Kieran didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed his clothes and scurried out of the house, not daring to meet my gaze. Elara stood her ground, her arms crossed, her expression defiant. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. "This is my house too." "Not anymore," I replied, my voice cold and hard. "I want you out. I want a divorce. I want you out of my life." She laughed, a harsh, brittle sound that sent another shiver down my spine. "You think I'm just going to walk away? You think I'm going to let you take everything, everything?" I echoed, my voice laced with bitterness. "What everything? All I have is this house, a modest savings account, and a broken heart. You can have it all, Elara. Just leave me alone." She stared at me for a long moment, her eyes calculating, her mind clearly racing. "Fine," she said finally. "I'll leave. But I'm not going to make this easy for you, Brennan. You're going to regret this." With that, she turned and walked upstairs, leaving me standing alone in the living room, surrounded by the wreckage of my life. The rain continued to fall outside, a mournful soundtrack to my despair. I spent the next few days in a daze, numbly going through the motions of daily life. I went to work, ate meals, and slept in the spare bedroom, but I felt like a ghost, detached from reality, observing my own existence from a distance. Elara remained in the house, a constant reminder of my betrayal. We barely spoke, communicating only through terse notes and icy glares. The tension in the house was palpable, thick, and suffocating. I confided in my best friend, Conall, a gruff but loyal mechanic who had known me since childhood. He listened patiently as I poured out my heart, offering words of comfort and support. "You need to get out of there, Brennan," he said, his voice firm. "You can't stay in that house with her. It's poisoning you." He was right. I needed to escape, to find some space to heal and rebuild my life. I decided to move into a small flat in the city center, a temporary refuge while I figured out my next steps. The divorce proceedings were acrimonious, as Elara had promised. She contested everything, demanding a large share of our assets, claiming that she was entitled to spousal support, accusing me of emotional abuse and neglect. I was devastated by her behavior, but I refused to be intimidated. I hired a solicitor, a sharp and experienced woman named Bronte, who advised me to remain calm and focused, to document everything, and to fight for what was rightfully mine. As the divorce dragged on, I began to uncover more and more evidence of Elara's deceit. I discovered that she had been having an affair with Kieran for months, that she had been secretly draining our joint bank account, and that she had been planning to leave me for him all along. I was disgusted by her treachery, but I was also strangely liberated. The woman I had loved, the woman I had thought I knew, was a figment of my imagination. The real Elara was a manipulative, selfish, and dishonest person, someone I no longer recognized. One day, Bronte called me with some news. "I think I have something that might help your case," she said, her voice tight with excitement. "I've obtained some emails between your wife and Kieran. They're quite damning." I rushed to her office, eager to see the evidence. The emails were even more shocking than I had anticipated. They revealed a detailed plan to bankrupt me, to take possession of our house, and to run off together to Spain. Elara and Kieran had been plotting my downfall for months, carefully orchestrating their scheme, confident that they would get away with it. They had underestimated me. I presented the emails to the court, along with evidence of Elara's financial misconduct and her affair with Kieran. The judge was appalled by her behavior, and he ruled decisively in my favor. Elara was ordered to return the money she had stolen from our joint account. She was denied spousal support, and she was forced to sell the house and split the proceeds with me. Kieran also faced consequences for his actions. His wife, upon learning of his affair with Elara, filed for divorce and took him for everything he had. He lost his job, his house, and his reputation. He was a pariah in the community, shunned by his friends and neighbors. Elara and Kieran's dreams of a new life in Spain were shattered. They were left with nothing, their relationship destroyed by their own greed and deceit. As for me, I was finally free. Free from Elara's lies, free from her manipulation, free from the pain and betrayal that had consumed me for so long. The scars of her infidelity would always remain, but I was determined to heal, to rebuild my life, and to find happiness again. I started therapy, joined a support group for divorced men, and reconnected with old friends. I also threw myself into my work, taking on new challenges and expanding my skills. I rediscovered my passion for photography, spending hours exploring the city with my camera, capturing the beauty and the resilience of life. One day, while attending a photography exhibition, I met a woman named Aoife. She was an artist, a vibrant and intelligent soul with a warm smile and a kind heart. We struck up a conversation, and I was immediately drawn to her energy and her enthusiasm. We started dating, and I found myself falling in love again. Aoife was everything Elara was not: honest, supportive, and genuinely caring. She helped me to see the world in a new light, to appreciate the simple joys of life, and to trust in love again. Years passed. I married Aoife, and we built a life together, filled with love, laughter, and mutual respect. I never forgot the pain of Elara's betrayal, but I refused to let it define me. I had learned from my mistakes, and I was determined to create a better future for myself. One afternoon, while walking through the city center, I saw Elara. She was sitting on a bench, looking gaunt and disheveled, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. She was alone. I hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to approach her. But then I remembered the pain she had caused me, the lies she had told, the damage she had inflicted. I decided to walk on, to leave her to her fate. As I walked away, I felt a pang of pity for her. She had made her choices, and she was now living with the consequences. But I also felt a sense of closure, a sense that I had finally moved on from the past. I had survived Elara's betrayal, and I had emerged stronger and wiser. I had found love again, and I had built a life that was filled with happiness and meaning. The rain had stopped, and the sun was shining brightly. Manchester looked beautiful, bathed in golden light. I smiled, grateful for the journey that had led me to this moment, grateful for the lessons I had learned, and grateful for the love that had saved me. Life had thrown me a curveball, a devastating betrayal that had shattered my world. But I had refused to be defeated. I had picked myself up, dusted myself off, and started again. And in the end, I had found my way to a better, brighter future. A future that was filled with love, hope, and the promise of a new beginning. A future that was all my own. Betrayal cuts deep, doesn't it? It leaves scars that time can fade but never fully erase. I hope my story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, healing is possible. You are stronger than you think, and capable of building a new life filled with genuine happiness. Never let the actions of another define your worth or steal your joy. Keep moving forward, and know that brighter days are ahead.